Hi, I'm Lee from louleigh.co.uk. I'm on Instagram as Instamatic Louleigh. I'm on Ravelry as Louleigh, and I have a bag shop on Etsy, and that's Shop Louleigh. Welcome to my knitting podcast. I'm feeling a bit self-conscious today because I have relocated to the kitchen because this is where we have the most natural daylight, so you might not get the spooky up lighting that we got last time. And the hairy man came back on shore yesterday, and so he is sat just on the other side of that door, and I feel like I've got an audience, like a live audience. And so I really want to whisper, but I'm going to try not to. Anyway, and so much for having a plain background. You know, we've got all our paraphernalia here, and I'm sat right next to the oven, so it's a bit like podcasting in a sauna. But anyway, welcome to my knitting podcast. I hope you're comfortable, and yeah, just looking forward to having a bit of a sit with your knitting for the next few minutes. Today I wanted to thank Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes. I sent her a bag for her, I forget the name of the cow, but you have to do two things that go together, which I think is a marvellous idea, because it's so easy just to sort of put things into your wardrobe that, you know, don't necessarily match with anything. And, you know, if your handmade things sort of work together and they make sort of a more cohesive wardrobe, then it makes them so much more wearable. You know, I think I tend to pick from the same colour palette, and some people say, oh, isn't it boring, I always buy things that is the same colour, but I think it just makes my wardrobe work a bit better. So thank you for your lovely review, Jenny. That was wonderful. So if you want to know what I'm wearing, I put it in the show notes, because otherwise I might talk about the same thing over and over again. I have favourites, but I do have on my Wovember badges. If you're not familiar with Wovember, then you can pop over to the website. It is a celebration of all things wool, not woolly. Woolly is used as a descriptive term often to talk about things which are definitely not wool. And Wovember is all about the wool. So anyway, I have on my badges there, which were made by the lovely Knit Sonic. So if you haven't checked out her podcast, it's really rather good, really interesting. Yes, so anyway, as I say, if you want to know what I'm wearing, then I'll always put it in the show notes, so you can find that out there. Actually, I keep looking over here, I'm distracted by my own kitchen. Do I need to clean that shelf? Could do with a tidy up. Oh well, hey ho, we are as we are. So then, this is the sock segment, and I have had 2 sock failures this week, which has meant that I am down to 5 pairs of socks, and given that I usually only wash once a week, that's not a good thing. There's some things I'll wear 2 days in a row. Socks aren't one of them. Anyway, one of them was a commercial pair of socks, and I don't darn commercial socks. They're just... Well, the other thing is I find a darn makes them so much bulkier, and, you know, they're just not comfortable anymore. But anyway, they weren't favourite socks or anything. They weren't anything particularly special. So those have gone out for the dustbin. But the other pair of socks were these ones. These are a pair of Woolmy's Pure socks, and I checked on Ravelry and I finished these in 2008, and shortly after I finished them I caught a snag on a nail at the floor, on the floor at a friend's house, and made a hole in them. So these started their life by being darned by my lovely mother. Anyway, since then I have had to do a couple of repairs on the same sock actually. I don't know if you'll be able to see the first repair. Oh yes, you can. So that's the first repair that I did last winter, and this one here is today's repair. As you can see, my darning is not terribly neat. I watched, well, I'd seen my mum do it, and she can do very neat darning. It looks like weaving when she does it. But then I had watched a little video by Susan B. Anderson on how she darns socks. And I have purchased a darning egg specifically for the darning of socks. I didn't think I was ever going to darn socks. I thought that road led to madness. But you start knitting your own socks, and then darning is just the next step from there really. So yes, I have done a visible mend, which I'm quite pleased with. Yeah, we'll see how that wears. Yeah, these, as I said, these are the Wool-Mise Pure base, and I think that makes lovely socks. I knitted them on 2mm needles again, because that was pre my move to 2.5mm needles. So they are very sturdy. They're not as soft as the Malabrigo socks, but still, ooh, they feel lovely on your feet. And I was inspecting the other sock here. This is the one that had the hole in the toe. Where is that darn? You can barely see it. Mum chose a thread that matched in really well. I don't know if you can even see that on the toe there, just there. Yeah, so I was inspecting this because I haven't had to darn, apart from that one which was a tear, I haven't had to darn these socks at all. But I did notice that they were getting thin just on the heel where the other ones had worn right through. And so I have just done a little bit of reinforcement there. Actually, the light in here is rather good. Given that it's so miserable outside, I've got windows all the way around here, which makes it a really nice room actually. And that window's south facing as well, so of course we're going to get decent light. Anyway, that's me wittering on about light again. I'll witter on about my socks now. So yeah, so I had done some repairs to that lovely pair of socks. Oh, a lovely pair of socks. Anyway, I won't sit here and pet my socks for the whole podcast, although I could. I wonder why these ones aren't on my feet today. No, I've got another pair on. It's alright. Right, so I shall put that back down there and talk about the other socks that I am knitting on. I got all excited about Arnie and Carlos yarn because I think, is it the 3rd edition has come out, and as tempted as I was to get all the colourways, I had decided on just one. And having got excited about starting a pair of socks with that particular yarn, I then got reignited about my previous Arnie and Carlos purchase and started on this sock. So as I've said, this was the previous edition. And let me just have a look here. The colour is, stand by, 3656. I think they actually put their colourways. Oh yes, and I'm not even going to try and say that. Nicked, which I guess is night. The thing is, I say I'm not going to try and say it, and then I do. Knit verbindlich. If you speak German, can you tell me if that made any sense at all? The translation will probably be on the website that I bought it from, but anyway. So yes, I think that was the 2nd edition of Arnie and Carlos, and I am just using some Regia 4-ply to do this, and this came in a 50-gram ball, and I'm making a size 3 sock for a good chum of mine. If only all my chums were size 3, that would be brilliant. Because this has just zoomed along. I think it's Sunday now, and I think I started it on Friday, and I'm nearly at the toe. So yes, if only I was a size 3. Mind you, I think if I did have size 3, I'd probably fall over more often. So yeah, there you go. I've just done a normal square heel with that one, and I am going to do a star toe on this because having noted the shape of my chum's toes, they're not as long and tapered as mine, but they are still round. So yes, I don't go around eyeballing my chum's toes all the time, it's just that I've been walking with her rather a lot, so I've seen her taking her boots off. Yeah, so I do go around noting the shape of my chum's toes. Weird lady, strange. Anyway, that Bobby is standing on the other side of the door, not realising that the door has a dog door. We don't often close this door, and it actually has a dog door in it, so he can get in if he wants, but you might hear him squeaking, sort of like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Silly little dog. Anyway, he might realise then you'll hear the dog door go in, and he'll come through here and probably knock the camera or something like that. So yes. So that was the sock segment. Pop that one down there. The next thing I'm going to talk about is not knitting at all, because I had spent the last few months being really excited about all the things and swatching for all the things and wanting to start all the things and buying yarn willy-nilly. And is he going to make it? Come on, boy! Come on! There you go! You've worked it out, fellow. You can't come up here. I'm busy. Well, if you could come up here, they won't see you. It's like, no, he'd be annoying. He wouldn't lie down. Anyway, so I was being really excited about all of the things and just wanting to start everything and buying yarn willy-nilly and this sort of thing, which is fine. But I just felt like a kid at a fairground, you know, where you just want to run in every direction at once. And I don't like having tons and tons of projects on the go, sort of like 3 or 4. I tend to pick up one thing and just work on it till the end. So starting a lot of just different things means that you get hats from last year's woolly wormhead cowl that still aren't finished. So I was thinking that I would take the whole of November off knitting. I should put some context on this. I can't think of a day in the last decade when I haven't knitted. There's probably been one and I have wiped it from my memory. So deciding to take a whole month off knitting actually, I don't know, sent me words gone, can't speak. But anyway, so, and then I saw someone on Instagram wearing the Stephen West Enchanted Mesa, and I thought actually I do want to knit on that again soon. So I couldn't go a month without knitting, that was just going to be impossible. So I decided to go a week without knitting. And even that proved really, really difficult. I drank copious amounts of coffee. I should justify that. I drank copious amounts of coffee, and I drank more coffee than normal. But I got out a kit for a tapestry that I had bought at last year's Knitting and Stitching show in Harrogate. I had gone along with the Outlaws. Come on then, come on. There we go, there's Bobby. You can just see his back, not even the top of his head, so he can sit. Oh, there we go. Right, lie down. Lie down. He's looking at me as if to say there's not space to lie down. Lie down. Bobby. going to work, is it? Down. Get off me. Go this way. Down. Good lad. Right, he'll probably decide in a minute that he's either stuck here or he needs to go back to the couch. Anyway, at the knitting and stitching show last year, I bought this little pincushion kit. And it is the Zigzag Pincushion by Sue Hawkins. And I hadn't started it, and I just thought that this would be quite a nice little project to work on whilst I wasn't knitting. And it was. I have gotten a little way along. There we go, this is the first side, and there's two colourways here, and they're really similar. One is just a lot lighter than the other. I've nearly finished it, but I've made a little mistake that I need to unpick and then just redo that bit. I'm sure there's other little mistakes. It's not the neatest bit of stitching in the world, but I'm quite pleased with it. The instructions in the kit are really good, really thorough, and spelled out really clearly. I have done tapestries before, but not lots. So yeah, this has been lots of fun. It is something that I have to look at. I can't sort of just, you know, it's a bit more difficult for watching telly and movies and things, because I have to look where I'm sticking my needle, and obviously I've not always stuck it in the right place. I've done a bit of undoing and that sort of thing. So I'm nearly finished this side, and I'm suffering from second sleeve syndrome because I'm not excited about doing the other side at all, because it's exactly the same as this one, but the colours are in reverse. So, but anyway, I shall carry along with that because the pincushion is so sweet. And Sue Hawkins does some lovely kits. There's one that actually looks like a little allotment, and I didn't choose that one at first because it has some fancy stitches in it, and I didn't think I could have done it. But this one has been so easy that I think maybe I could have had a go at that one. So I've put it on my Christmas list. Why not? If it turns up for Christmas, then I shall have a go at it. But I'm hoping to finish this one before Christmas anyway. I ought to. I'll just keep plugging away at it. I didn't make it to the end of a week without knitting. I made it within 24 hours and decided that I just couldn't do it. And so I did work on a pair of tube socks, which are now packed up and ready to go off to my nieces. Can you hear that? He has gone back through that dog door and is now sitting on the other side wittering. I don't know, maybe I should have put a dog bed in here and he could have just stayed, but anyway, I shall do for next time. Actually, we have a towel for wiping off mucky feet, so maybe if I put this down here, he will just lay down and be quiet. Look, this is going to take up most of the podcast, me messing about with my dog. Bobby! Bobby! Come on! Bobby, come! Bobby, here. Lie down. Good boy. Right, hopefully he will be happy there. So, whilst I was on my little hiatus from knitting, I realised that part of, I don't like to say problem, but it was a problem. Part of the difficulty I was having was that I had become very much a product knitter. I saw a thing that I wanted and I went and knitted it, which is fine, you know. Now that I'm down to 6 pairs of wearable socks, I need to knit another pair because clearly you need one for every day of the week, and sometimes you need a new cardigan that maybe fits in with your wardrobe a bit better, or just to replace one that's a bit maybe not good enough to go downtown in anymore. But I really wanted to enjoy the journey a bit more and to experiment and go on a few excursions with my knitting rather than just be really focused on the finished product. And so whilst I was on my little hiatus from knitting, I did some spinning, and I had been given some little samples from North Ronaldsay sheep. They come from, is the island called Ronaldsay or North Ronaldsay? I meant to look that up before I started talking about this, but I didn't. Anyway, it is in the part of the Orkney group, so up north of Scotland, and they have fenced off, I think they fenced off their arable farmland so that the sheep would be, so that the sheep wouldn't sort of encroach on their crops and things. But that mainly left the shoreline of this island for the sheep to graze. And so these sheep mainly eat seaweed, and they have developed their internal systems, have developed to process this seaweed. I think they're sort of like an ancient breed as well, but I could be wrong about that. I'm really doing this off the top of my head. I read that in the Fleece and Fibre source book, I read about North Ronaldsay sheep, and I've seen them at, where did we go? Woolfest in Cumbria. And they did a wee talk about North Ronaldsay sheep, so I'm really just winging this. If you want accurate information, I would suggest the breed website. Do they have a breed website? I'm really winging this. Anyway, North Ronaldsay sheep mainly eat, they're a rare breed, and they mainly eat seaweed, which I thought was quite interesting, and I had these little samples to try out. And so you can see I've got my album out. I'm still enjoying this book that I've been making, and keeping a record in of my spinning exploits. Let me find the page. So here we go. This is my yarn that I made, and I have two colours to have a go with, and I've done a little bit of weaving on my pin loom. I love this little patch, it's so tactile. It was an interesting fibre to spin with actually, because let me just see if this is focusing over here. Yeah, it was an interesting fibre to spin with. It didn't have a very consistent staple length, which made it quite fun to spin. It wasn't difficult at all, and it had like little hairy bits in. They weren't coarse like herdwick, so the main part of the fibre was quite fine and soft, and then it had these sort of guard hairs in it, but not guard hairs like Swaledale or Herdwick. They were lighter than that. But yeah, it was fun to spin, and I made a 2-ply. I did the usual short forward draw, although I should imagine that you could probably do a long draw with that relatively easily. And I was quite pleased with how that little bit of yarn came out and made my swatch there. And so I decided to have a fun little adventure with that yarn, and I made this fellow. I'm really pleased with him. He is just the cutest little thing. This is a pattern. He's very hard to focus on because he's fuzzy. It took me an age to take a photo of him. Here he is. He is Hedgie by Susan B. Anderson, and he is mostly in one piece. Gosh, he was fun. He only took a couple of hours, even with these little twiddly bits on the back. They're a little bit fiddly, but you're only doing it for about half an hour, so that's no big deal. But yes, he was tremendous fun. Little Hedgie. I don't want to put him down. I'm just going to sit here and turn him round and round like one of those showroom things. Yeah, so I really enjoyed him. I had him sitting on my shelf looking at me, and I just wanted to pick him up and put him in my pocket. So you just want to pick him up and put him in your Of course you do. Hedgehogs. Yeah. I was going to talk about something else and I'm so distracted by this fellow. Yeah, don't worry, I've got show notes so I know what I'm going to talk about. So the other thing that I wanted to do, let me put these things down, was to participate in the British Breed Swatch Along. Now this is being run by Louise from Knit British, and she has an audio podcast. And what she's doing is getting people to swatch with single breed yarns, and they can be commercial yarns or hand spun, that have not been dyed, and then to do quite a thorough review. This is the guidance, and as you can see, I've printed it off because I plan to do this a few times and I just want to make sure that I've got this handy to do it, to follow the guidance properly. Yeah, so the first thing you do is to note some things about the yarn and about your swatch, and then you have to wash it and make some more notes, and then you have to wear it. So today I have a little something up my sleeve. Hold on, let's see if I can do this delicately. It's down here. Here we go. So today I am wearing my North Romelsey swatch up my sleeve, and I can't actually feel it there. And so you make some more notes about the wearability of this yarn, how soft it is and how it felt against your skin, if it made you break out in a rash or something. You have to say how you wash it, and you have to take some photos and put them into your notes on Ravelry. And so at the end of the project, Louise is hoping that she'll have a database about different single breeds yarn. And I think that's a really valuable thing, because as much as I wouldn't want to wear yarn from every breed right up against my skin, I think they all have their place. I mean, for example, Herdwick isn't the loveliest, softest yarn in the world, but man, it would make a good pair of slippers. And so, you know, I'm not the sort of person that looks specifically for softness when I make things, unless I'm putting it next to my neck or something. So yes, I'm a strong believer that every sheep has its place. And so that is my swatch, and I'm going to wear it all day today, and then I have to wash it again and re-photograph it, and then I have to, I think, do I have to wear it again? I think that extra step might be optional. But yes, eventually this will go in my album. But I think that's a really interesting project and a great resource, not just for knitters, but also for people maybe that have sheep and are thinking about making their own yarn, and what knitters are looking for and what knitters have to say about their breed of wool. Excuse me, I'm just going to tuck this back down here. In the interests of science, of course. I'm wearing my swatch there. So yes, I think it's a marvellous project, and I've got some commercial wools and some hand spun wools that I'm going to be making swatches with and participating, basically. I think it's a wonderful project. Now the last thing I had to talk about was my wool giveaway. At the moment it's still going on, but this closes tomorrow, so I will have given this away. I will have done the draw with the hairy man as my witness, and I'll contact the winner and get this out to them. I've really enjoyed the thread for this, and hearing about the things that have inspired you. Of course I haven't chatted back because that would make drawing for it a bit of a nuisance. But yeah, that's been so exciting for me. I'm the lady pushing the love button. There's probably some other people doing that too. But it's been really interesting. So thank you so much for participating, and I shall contact the winner tomorrow after I draw for this, and get your address and post it off to you. Yeah, so that was lots of fun. As I say, thank you so much for participating. I've been really interested in what you've had to share. my camera decided I had talked enough just as I was saying goodbye. Anyway, so I'll just say goodbye properly. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope you have had a lovely weekend. Cheerio.